Afternoon, everybody. So, as Corinne just mentioned, the President is traveling to the United Kingdom and Ireland this week. And as I think you all also know, he's very excited for this trip and has been now for quite some time. Tomorrow, he will depart for Belfast, where he'll be greeted upon arrival at the airport by Prime Minister Sunak, who we also just saw last month in San Diego at the AUKUS announcement. On Wednesday, President Biden will meet with Prime Minister Sunak bilaterally. From there, President Biden will head to Ulster University to deliver remarks marking the tremendous progress since the signing of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement 25 years ago. And he'll underscore the readiness of the United States to preserve those gains and support Northern Ireland's vast economic potential to the benefit of all communities. Today, I think you all know, is actually the 25th anniversary since the Belfast Good Friday Agreement was signed, ending decades of violence and bringing peace and stability to Northern Ireland. President Biden cares deeply about Northern Ireland and has a long history of supporting peace and prosperity there. As a U.S. Senator, Joe Biden was an advocate for how the United States could play a constructive role supporting peace. Now, following his speech at Ulster University, the President will travel to Ireland on Wednesday afternoon. He will visit County Louth, where his great-grandfather James Finnegan was born and the Finnegan family lived before they crossed the sea to begin a new life in America. And he'll tour Carlingford Castle. On Wednesday night, the President will spend the night in Dublin. On Thursday, he will meet with President Higgins of Ireland and participate in a tree planting ceremony and ringing of the peace bell. Following that ceremony, he will meet again with the Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, whom the President just hosted here for St. Patrick's Day, as I think you all remember. In both meetings, the President will discuss our close cooperation on the full range of shared global challenges. He will then address a joint session of Irish Parliament about U.S.-Irish cooperation to advance democracy, peace, security, and prosperity, as well as the shared deep history between the United States and Ireland. Today, 1 in 10 Americans claim Irish ancestry, and Irish Americans are proudly represented in every facet of American life. Ireland's a key economic partner of the United States, and the United States and Ireland are working closely together to make the global economy more fair. Ireland has been a key partner for 21st century challenges as well, and the Irish government has been strong supporters of Ukraine, providing vital, non-lethal assistance, including medical supplies, body armor, and support for Ukraine's electric grid, as well as their agriculture. They have supported EU sanctions on Russia, and the people of Ireland have generously welcomed nearly 80,000 Ukrainians, offering refuge to those who were forced to flee their homes in search of safety. On Thursday night, President Biden will attend a banquet dinner at Dublin Castle, and on Friday, the President will travel to County Mayo, where he will tour the Sanctuary of Our Lady of Knock and visit the North Mayo Heritage and Genealogical Center's Family History Research Unit. He will then deliver remarks at St. Murdoch's Cathedral, which his great-great-grandfather, Edward Blewett, sold 27,000 bricks to in 1827. Those bricks were used to construct and support the great cathedral and help Edward afford to buy tickets for himself and for his family to sail to America decades later in 1851. The President is very much looking forward to that trip again and to celebrating the deep historic ties that our two countries and our two people continue to share. With that, we'll take some questions.
Okay. Thanks. John, if we can start on the classified document leaks. Has the President been briefed on this breach, and does the U.S. government at this point have any sense of who was behind it?
The President has been briefed. He was first briefed late last week when we all got word that there were some documents out there, and he has stayed briefed and in contact with national security officials throughout the weekend. So he has been briefed. And as for the source, as you know, the Department of Defense has referred this to the Department of Justice for a criminal investigation, and I certainly would refer you to them, but I'm not aware that they've come to any conclusions at this point about where they're coming from.
And just to follow up on that, at this point, do you believe the leak is contained? Are there more documents out there that have not been released publicly? Is this an ongoing threat?
We don't know. We truly don't.
Moving to the tensions between China and Taiwan, we know the President can pick up the phone anytime and call President Xi. We've been told that this call is coming for months. Why hasn't he just picked up the phone and called President Xi to say, knock it off?
The President looks forward to having another conversation with President Xi. And we'll do that at the appropriate time, and we'll certainly keep you apprised of that. It's important that those lines of communication stay open. The tensions are certainly high. right now. We'd like to see this relationship get onto a better footing. And when it's appropriate for the two leaders to talk, then that'll happen. I want to stress, that said, that we are and have been able to maintain lines of communication between our two countries, even throughout all these tensions. And in fact, we're still working to get Secretary Blinken back on a plane over to Beijing, as he was planning to do a couple of months ago. And we're in talks with the PRC about potential visits of Secretary Yellen and Secretary Raimondo, at their invitation, by the way, to talk about economic issues.
And while it's not popular, would the president ever speak directly to President Tsai? I mean, would there be a conversation there, perhaps? What is his take on this meeting between House Speaker McCarthy and President Tsai?
Not uncommon for presidents of Taiwan to transit the United States, as President Tsai did. It's also not uncommon for Taiwan officials, certainly at the president level, to meet with members of Congress, as President Tsai did. It's very typical. There's, again, no reason for any overreaction here.
Good stuff.
Thank you. Hello, Admiral over here. Still on Taiwan, how does the U.S. see the latest Chinese military exercises there, and is the U.S. confident that Taiwan and help from the U.S. can continue to deter China from a military, solution as they would see it? Because what they've been, their saber rattling, we call it, was a lot more than sabers, and it's more than rattling at this point.
Yeah, so we're monitoring the exercises as closely as I think you might imagine. They appear to be a reaction to something that didn't need to be reacted to. In my previous answer, this is not uncommon for presidents of Taiwan, and this one in particular, to transit the United States. So there was no reason to react in any way, militarily or otherwise. They also reacted rhetorically. But we're very comfortable and confident that we have in place in the region sufficient resources and capabilities to protect our national security interests in the Indo-Pacific. I would add, more specifically to your second question, there's no reason for tensions across the Taiwan Strait to devolve into any kind of conflict. Nothing's changed about our one China policy. Nothing's changed about the fact that we don't support Taiwan independence. And nothing's changed about the fact that we don't want to see the status quo changed unilaterally, and certainly not by force.
Just a quick one, if I might, on Macron's visit to China. How did you react to his comments about wanting to create a third superpower and so on? Do you wish him luck? Is it just rhetoric, or is it kind of annoying to the U.S. administration?
I'll let the LEC speak to President Macron's comments. We are, again, comfortable and confident in the terrific bilateral relationship we have with France, and the relationship that the president has with President Macron, and the fact that we're working together on so many different issues. And the French are stepping up in the Indo-Pacific. I mean, they're conducting naval operations even as you and I are speaking right now in the Indo-Pacific, all in keeping with a concerted effort by all of us, this vast alliance, or network of alliances and partnerships that we have, to continue to make sure that we're standing up for stability, security, prosperity, and a free and open Indo-Pacific.
Thank you, Kareem, and thank you, Kirby. In light of the classified documents, I wonder if you could tell us when was the last time the protocol to grant security clearances was updated or revised in the government, and in light of the leaks, does the president believe you should take another look at that?
I think the Department of Defense has already started to take a look at distribution, for instance, at the Pentagon. I'll let them speak to that. I don't know the answer to your question on the protocols for who is or who is not granted security clearances. There is already in place and remains in place a very diligent, deliberate effort to manage security clearances, and sometimes we get knocked because it takes a little too long for people's clearances to get approved because the process is so careful and deliberate. I think, to your question, I think we just need to be careful right now speculating or guessing what might be behind, or who might be behind what looks like a potential leak here of classified information. So we need to let the process sort of bear itself out.
So are you saying there's a question over whether this was a leak by someone who had access to the material?
I'm saying we don't know, which is why I'm going to, I think you're getting to remedies, and I understand that. we're only a couple of days into this. We need to let the Department of Justice do their job, investigate this, see what they learn. Now, again, that said, the Department of Defense has already said that they're taking a look at distribution and looking if there's changes they need to make administratively there at the Pentagon, since it appears that they have the locus of most of the documents. But again, before we start making major muscle movements, we really need to know what we got here and have a better sense from the Justice Department.
Just a couple of quick follow-ups. Do you have a sense of the number of...
You have been listening first to White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre hold the daily press briefing. She spoke about the shooting in Louisville and challenged Republicans in Congress to pass new background checks and other gun-related legislation. She also talked about the Texas ruling on, this was a judge in Texas ruling on the abortion pill, and said the Department of Justice is going to appeal that ruling. And then...
We also heard from Admiral John Kirby, who previewed the president's trip to Northern Ireland. Kirby also addressed a recent leak of classified documents. He said the president has been briefed, but the White House does not know the extent of the leak, whether or not there is more documents to be leaked. He also said that we don't know whether this was a leak or a hack, answering to a question from our own Weijia Zhang.